for us. So now for Antoine, as we saw several speakers presenting a ground projection approach for the use case of exiting a parking lot, are there tests done about the attention rate of pedestrians comparing your display?
Yes, as I have presented, the both solutions, projection systems and a display are still possible. And the intention of doing this test is to also to compare the impact on the behavior, how it changes according to the system, and is the display more efficient in comparison to the whole projection systems. But we are working on the both solutions today.
Perhaps Heider, have a comment? No?
Yes, there is. I just wanted to mention that we have, of course, research studies from GTB ordered, as I am the chairman of such a research group at GTB, where with ELS, by exiting a car on the line, parked, what is the advantage, how the cyclists who are passing by, what was shown in the picture already before, are aware of that this is something which is beneficial. And there is also another study from Yeongnam University in South Korea, Professor Lee. He is very well known, especially for adverse weather situation experiments, and he is doing a larger investigation of T-junction and crossings where cars, pedestrians and cyclists are included by projecting such kind of information on the ground. We saw that yesterday also in one of the other cars which was shown, and that is a good thing. And also I talked with the GIE president. He is an important person for that he was also agreeing that this is a good way. And it will be presented next week, by the way, in GIE in Geneva.
Thank you. I can see no other question for the moment. So perhaps a question to Valérie concerning ADB in the US. So we know that for decades the regulation in the US is quite stable. So we have mainly standard low beam and high beam. And so do you have made any kind of marketing analysis on how the public, the final customer in the US would react to the advantages of ADB, namely to safety? Because here in Europe, we have so many advanced systems, we have a very big number of segments, but probably in the US, for starting, you should start with a lower number of segments. But do you have any strategy on this for ADB in the US?
I would say that today, no, for the moment, we know that the status today, it's too soon.
Mm. But generally speaking, I believe that's an important point. We as many different suppliers or OEMs, we should investigate in order to be prepared or to better understand the needs of a different public, in some words, for the US.
Our target would be to use the same optical modules as in Europe.
So there would be a step for more advanced very, very fast. Okay.
Yes, shortly, because it is important. The ADB is, of course, we are happy that it's released in the US, but not in the way it was done. That is very important. We cannot. There was some unrealistic requirements included. There was a task force earlier from SAE J3069 where the proposal was made for ADB in the US. That was related to the ECE 123, more or less, for the ADB, and that was in 100 pages commented. And then after that, US is more or less more sensitive because of glare. That is the background. We have to accept this, but we need now to negotiate that we can use ADB in a way which we have realized already in hundreds of vehicles here in Europe, jointly, by the way, and very successful. And this takes it as an optimistic estimation another 3 to 5 years until the NHTSA people are ready to accept the direction. So, and that is a little bit the disaster to understand for those who are not familiar with the point.
Thank you. Any other question in the assistance? So perhaps a last question to Antoine. So you have stressed the importance of resolution, the quality of the display, the contrast, and many physical parameters in order that the message could be understood when displayed. On the other hand, we have different use cases for the car, where information can be or should be seen from a closer approach. So when the customer is close to the car or for many different actions, then perhaps it could be interesting to have a very high definition. But when you're sending messages as an emergency brake, for instance, so you cannot afford to have a so big display with a so big a resolution also for this kind of messages. So perhaps a good compromise could be to have displays with mixed resolution. So the central part in higher definition and the other wings with lower resolution. So how do you see those possibilities?
Yes, sure. Exactly. So at shorter distance, and this is what was presented also by my former colleagues in Mrs. Petit, at shorter distance, you go to a problematic of compromise between the perceived quality and cost also, because when you go to very small pixel, then the cost is not the same. And it's important to consider this point. And indeed, hybrid solutions where you have some areas dedicated to far distance with quite low resolution and a quite large display, and in the same time having a small display dedicated for high resolution for the short distance is a good answer for this kind of compromise. Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much. Question to Antoine: what is your view on regarding regulation, evolution linked to signaling display?
So, as we have seen yesterday, I would say the best also is to test the various proposals. Yesterday we were speaking about the risk of disturbance of something which is projector or something which is displayed, and will be also what we are going to test internally to see how we can make evolution of the regulation. But we still see some the things are changing step by step. I know that on the next GRE there will be some discussions regarding some functions such as car load status for the electrical vehicle, and maybe there are some open possibilities not to have only red on the rear and white on the front, but maybe also to have green to show that low status car charge status is very full. So we see step by step the things changing. This is encouraging, I would say, but of course we need to push also to make things possible. And to push it, we need to test.
Yes. Thank you very much. Any other question? Otherwise, so thank you very much for your presence.